Hi everyone, and we're going to go through your population-based improvement project logic model rubric. That's a mouthful, but really what you're doing is you're devising based on feedback from your preceptor and what you're experiencing in your practicum. You're going to devise an improvement project or a change project, and you're going to use a logic model as the format for devising your project. So what you are going to do, there is actually a form that you will use that follows the sequence of the logic model when you're completing this assignment. So what you will do as you're doing this assignment, this will help set the stage for you as you move forward in your practice. It's all about connecting the improvement process or the change process with the overall goals and objectives of the particular organization, whether that be in the form of a mission or a vision or what their values are. So you're really going to start making those connections about how important it is to really stay true to the organization's purpose, so to speak. So you, along with your preceptor, are going to identify an issue or a problem or an opportunity for improvement, and you are going to take a look at the literature based on that particular improvement, problem, issue, and figure out what the best way is to address that for this particular organization. And again, that's a key element, is applying that wisdom and the practitioner or your experience and knowledge about the organization as to what will truly work in that organization. And you will be using a formalized model to institute the improvement or change. And the model does not need to be something in particular that I designate. It needs to be what's appropriate for you to use as you're implementing the improvement or change, what is congruent with the organization. And in fact, an organization may have a particular model that they follow. And if their focus is on an improvement process, it may be the Plan, Do, Check, Act model, the PDCA, or some other improvement model. Or if it's a change model that they use or that you choose to use, it may be Kotter's 8 stages, or it may be Lewin's unfreezing, change and then freezing. So you want to go to the literature, and you also want to use an evidence-based theory or model as you're instituting your change. And again, it will set the stage for success in the future as you plan very deliberately about the particular improvement that you're looking at doing. So that's kind of the underpinning for this particular project, because this will give you really valuable experience to move forward and to make those improvements or changes as you move forward in your practice. And even if you're skilled at making those improvements and changes, this is a time to really refine your skills and really dive into the evidence as far as implementing based on the evidence as far as a change model or improvement model, and also diving into the evidence about this particular issue that you've identified at your practicum site. So just a brief overview, you're going to do just a brief synopsis of the organization itself. You're going to identify the title of the change or the improvement. You're going to identify your stakeholders, of course, and you want to clearly identify those and go very broad with the stakeholders and who is all involved and who is needed to make this to be a success. And one thing to always remember, you want to include those that you serve as a stakeholder as well, whether it would be patients or the community or those types of folks. So be very broad when you're defining your stakeholders. You also want to dive into what the barriers or challenges may be in correlation with your identified topic. And you also want to look at ways to address those barriers and challenges. And it's helpful to also look at those facilitators that will help your change as well. So it's all about taking that very broad focus and really pre-planning very well to set the stage for future success. So having that baseline is so critical for moving forward. Very often we get very focused on the change itself, but in actuality, the components of laying the foundation for success is very critical, sometimes more critical than the change itself. So that, again, is another tidbit as you move forward. When we're looking at the improvement model, you want to include very specifically what the model entails, including the steps or the process, and you want to cite where you obtain the information about that particular theory or model. As you take a look at the issue for improvement, you want to clearly delineate the issue. You want to include appropriate data, the population, the why behind. Again, this is critical information as you're moving forward. And you're also going to identify provide an overview of the evidence-based practice that you're going to address for this particular problem, issue, or area of improvement, and you're going to cite that evidence. So you're going to dive into the literature and find resources that support the activity or the implementation, the change, improvement, whatever you're doing for the particular problem. You're going to establish very clear goal and at least 3 SMART objectives, and then you're going to devise your timeline. And what you're going to do with your timeline is you're going to correlate that with the different steps of either your improvement or change model. So, for instance, if you use Lewin's, you'll start out with the unfreezing phase, and then what steps in your timeline go under that unfreezing phase. And then when you go into the change, what entails that particular change process, and then refreezing, what entails that particular refreezing process as far as building in that sustainability piece and integrating into the workflow to make sure that the change stays. And again, that's another critical component that is so important to really hone in on, because very often changes occur and they don't stick. And that's kind of a failure as far as using that time and energy for a change that doesn't stay. So again, we need to be very frugal and very cognizant of how we apply our resources and making sure that we're very effective in what we do when we look at improvements and changes. So you'll also devise evaluation metrics, and these need to be very specific to it. Again, that's a huge piece as far as the success of the change itself, and also looking forward, what type of maybe quality control measures are going to be in place to assure that the project is sustainable in the future. So overall, we're looking at the clarity of the logic model, and then you're going to go into the reflection process as far as what you've learned through the experience. So if you have any questions or concerns about completing the logic model or completing this assignment, please let me know. I'm looking forward to hearing about all the really valuable projects that you all will be doing. Thank you so much. Take care now.